All right, everybody. Hello. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're delving into something fun. And this is exactly why you got into cinematography. Why? Because we're going to talk numbers, math. In fact, we're going to talk how you sustain your life. I understand. You got into cinematography because you love telling stories. You like to bring experiences to life, and you don't care about the finance. You don't care about the money side of things. You just want to live on set every day, creating. You and I are not the same. Okay. No, I like that kind of stuff too. But we're going to talk about the reality, which is this is a hard industry to crack. Is it worth the effort to put in all of those hours creating some spec piece that you and your friends get together on? You're working for free for long hours and you're trying to crack into this. Can I just get a little commercial because that commercial will eventually get me more commercials? And if I do more commercials and meet more people, then finally that director who has that perfect script, they're going to pull me out of the great unwashed masses and I'm going to shoot that thing. It's going to make me an overnight success, and I will get to spend the rest of my days doing creative work all around the world, and my family will love me, I will love me, and everyone else will love me. Does that sound nice? Okay, well, let's get into the cold, hard reality because none of that is going to happen. No, I don't know. Maybe it happens to you. I don't know. You could be good. But let's talk about cash. All right, let's talk about actually making money. And the hard part about talking about cinematography and making money is that everybody's situation is unique. And you say, Patrick, everyone says that. And I would say, yes, that's true. So you would have to find a Muppet so silly that they would be willing to track the number of days that they've worked over the year. And then they'd be willing to share how much they charged on a per day basis during that time. Okay, that is not going to happen. No one is that dumb. Okay, they're just not going to do it because it's crass and it's not called for and it shouldn't be talked about, right? You do you. But what we can do is we can just make up some numbers and make them seem realistic. And that's exactly what we are going to explore in this video. So let's jump in to the numbers. And what we have here, this is not, an accurate representation of anyone's actual life work. I'm just making these numbers up because they sounded realistic. Okay. So what we have here is the different years dating all the way back to 2017, our Lord. And we have a number of days on set, work days, and then we have prep days. And what we're going to do is we're going to examine, if we do a little bit of multiplication and a little bit of addition, how much you could possibly make as a working commercial cinematographer. And I know what you're saying. It's not about the money. It's about the joy of being on set. Maybe. But let's figure it out anyway. What are the possibilities? Now, there's a huge sliding scale that you can charge. But what if someone worked in commercials? And what if they said they weren't like top of the tier? They were sort of maybe your middle class cinematographer who was working on stuff, well, back in the glory days, I would say back in this era, pre everyone finding out that no one watches TV anymore. You were working on commercials and you had crew sizes in the mid-ish range. They weren't super huge. They weren't massive things, but what you were producing, people seemed to value. And they got you back again and again and again. And you were able to build up your rates over time. Well, then you might have like a sliding scale. Some people you would do a job for, I don't know, some you might do it for $2,000 a day. Some you might do it for $3, some $4, some $5, and you just build it up over time. And the people that you dislike, you end up charging them much more. And you say, Patrick, why would you work for someone that you didn't like or you didn't respect? Surely you wouldn't do that. And then you start to think about it. Well, if in a given year, I'm only really working, all told, with prep days and shoot days, 100 days. Yeah, I mean, I got 265 days of doing sweet FA. Like, why don't I just put in a quote that's super huge and then the people that I don't like end up paying me much more. And then I show up to set with a smile on my face. That could be an option, right? Or you just say no in general. But let's say there's a sliding scale. But for our purposes, a sliding scale in terms of numbers from, say, $2,000 to, let's say, $5,000 a day, just for your cinematography skills. I know it sounds crazy, but maybe there's a world out there where people are able to do this. Maybe it's not just hypothetical, but let's say that it's not hypothetical. Let's just pick a number in between there. Let's say $4,000 a day is what it averages to, right? That sounds like a pretty good number. Okay, so let's do some quick math here. What is that? That's 72 shoot days. Let's do 72 days times 4,000 is going to be $288,000. Let's write it here. 288, comma, 000. $288,000 for playing make-believe on set for 72 days? Where can I sign? Is this something that I can do? It seems like it's difficult to get in. Yes, that's the barrier to entry. We want the barrier harder and higher. Why? Because people are going to be trying to clamber over that wall. You want to smush them down. That sounds pretty good, right? I don't know. Maybe there are other professions where that's not good, but okay. That's not bad but then we've also have these 28 prep days. And what do you do for prep days? Some people charge half days. Some people charge, 2/3. Some people charge a full day. It depends on how in demand you are. You want to know what the secret is to figure out how much you can charge? Is you say to a production or you say to a producer, this is how much I'm going to charge. And then if they respond, that's ridiculous. Then you say, I'll make an exception this time. How much do you think I should charge? And then you figure it out. But let's do half, right? Let's do, instead of $4,000 now for those prep days, let's do $2,000 per day. And that's going to be 28. Okay, so that's 56 plus the original 288 is going to be, holy Lord, that's a big number. That's not right. 288, what did I just say? Plus 56? Plus 56, 1, 2, 3 equals, okay, 344. Okay, so 344. And 344,000. Now you're saying, Patrick, that's pretty good. I would say, yeah, 100 days making pictures that are make-believe for people. That's pretty good. I think, well, is that realistic? So I don't know. I'm just making these numbers up. I'm making them all up. I don't know if that's true. And then you'd say, well, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that figure. Okay. And that would make sense. Except now, see, the thing is, you're only working 100 days out of the year. So for 265, you're sitting around going, how could I make more without doing any more work? Is there any way to make any more money? Because this is not buying enough caviar, right? My family has caviar demands. How do we do more? You say, well, what else am I in charge of on a film set that I could possibly add on to my own invoice? You start thinking, well, I'm not in charge of art department. It'd be troublesome if I started to direct the actors. I can't really charge for that. Editing, I don't really like that because then there's consequences. Like, I like making the problems, not solving the problems. And you go, wait a second. I can't film any of these projects without the gear. And a beautiful part about being in the commercial space is usually, I would say, at least 3/4 of the time, the production company or the producers that you're working for, they don't have an attachment to a particular rental house, which means they will ask the cinematographer, where would you like to get the equipment from? What kind of equipment would you like? Remember, you're the expert. These people are coming with a problem. You're solving that problem. They're paying you to solve the problem. So the more problems that you can solve for them, the happier they're going to be. So you could say, I don't know, like let's say on a typical commercial, let's say, I don't know, you've got the camera, which is going to be, let's say it's $1,500 a day, right? And then you've got the lenses, let's call that another $1,000 a day. Then you've got the head and legs, you've got a couple monitors, you've got the Apple box, the bobbity bibbity, all these things. Let's say that's another, what is that? Another 1,000? Let's chuck on 500 just because we can. Why not? Like, we're making the rules here. It's all hypothetical anyway. So let's say that's another $4,000 per day that we're spending on equipment. Okay, now they ask you, where do you want to spend that money? And you say, well, everybody on the internet said that owning gear is a hassle and a big responsibility, and I'm not allowed to do my artistic vision. How much is that really costing me, that idea? You say 4,000 times 72 shoot days. Let's see how much that is. I think we've already done this calculation. That's another $288,000. Please don't make that true. That can't be right. Is that right? I think it is right. And that's when you start going, oh my God, hold on. No wonder those people at the rental house are so friendly. They're so friendly. I'm giving them 288. You better love those folks, right? They better be your besties. Now, so you could make the $344,000, but you could also add another 288. Which seems better to you? You think, well, I don't have any time. Like, I'm a busy man or busy female. Opposite of man. I'm busy. And you go, are you? What are you doing? What are you doing for 265 days a year? How about, I don't know, you could figure out if it's worth it for you to buy the camera gear and maybe rent that outside to productions that you work on. Would it be worth it? I don't know if it would be worth it. I don't know. And then you say, well, Patrick, you just made up all these numbers, right? 72 is not the real days. None of these are actually real. Maybe if you kept track of how many days you worked in a year, that it would eventually, like, it, you know, be like on a normal bell curve distribution. You'd start out at 0 jobs, and then maybe you do 1, and then maybe you do 3, and then maybe you're at 6, and then maybe one day you get to, I don't know, 25 jobs in a year, right? You're just your average run-of-the-mill cinematographer selling t-shirts, okay? Maybe that's you. Should I figure out if anywhere along this part of the curve that it would make sense to make incremental investments in my future? Would that be a good thing? I don't know. You decide. This seems like it's tricky because people in the film industry didn't get in because you liked math. You got in because you liked being on set or you liked your friends and they were on set. So you figured you'd hang out with them. But I don't know. Again, these are made up numbers. I have no idea if they're realistic. I'm sure people make a lot more. And I'm sure there's people that make a lot less, right? That's just life. That's what they call it. At least that's what Frank Sinatra said. So, can you make money as a commercial cinematographer? Yes. Can you make more than doing other jobs on set? Depends, right? Depends. Is it worth it to do all of the work? If you also like taking pictures, is it worth it to do all the networking and to keep up the website and to do the gram and all of those other things? Well, maybe. Maybe. Or maybe you're going to make $0 and that's because your stuff is crap. Then wouldn't it be great if there was a spot where you could go to learn how to make nice things? That would be the ultimate. Because imagine how much it would be saving you. Imagine how much you could make if you were actually really good at these things. But I wouldn't know where to get that information. Anyway, okay, that's going to do it for this one. Hopefully that helped to illuminate some things. It shows if you make numbers up in your own head, and then you figure out also how to make up numbers for how many days you work, you too can do this min math. And you too can convince yourself that you're not wasting your time. You're investing in your future. Because if some stooge on the internet can do this, so can you. Right? Okay, that's going to do it for this one. Many thanks. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.